Yeah, I mean, I think she's kind of that ultimate multi-hyphenate, hard to she's famous, but it's hard to really describe easily why she was famous. She was a singer, she was an actor, she was a fashion icon. And so, she was born and into kind of privilege and grew up in swinging 60s London. She was in Blow Up. She was married briefly to John Barry, the composer of the James Bond movies. And then she kind of did what a lot of it girls don't do is she was divorced by, a very young age and moved to France for a role opposite Serge Gainsbourg, who was a very famous French kind of troubadour. And they fell in love. And then she became kind of, the picture of the kind of louche 70s nightclub era of Paris. So she really was kind of, I could fully identify with two different eras in two different countries, but then she stayed famous and relevant. I mean, she was the namesake for the Hermes Birkin bag, which is, the most famous bag in the world. And her original one sold over the summer at auction for over $10 million. And there were more than one documentary kind of exploring her enigma. She gave birth to two, well, to three, but to two girl daughters, Charlotte Gainsbourg and Lou Doyon. So she's kind of, yeah, the ultimate it girl in a way, but I also wanted to use that, as kind of an entry point, an idea into really exploring her as a three-dimensional woman whose life, who there was much that she didn't reveal. She made everything, like so many it girls, seem kind of carefree and coming easily to her, and like not, like things just sort of fell off her, not a worry or care in the world. But the reality of her life was much different. I love researching, and yes, I love going into an archive, taking notes. So for this, I did go to Paris for a few months, which was, right, like twist my arm to go live in Paris for a few months. And I was interviewing people, I was looking at archives of like clothing and designer clothes, but also of magazines and also of like TV interviews. I was watching as many movies of hers that I could find, sometimes on, sketchy Russian sites, listening to the music, um, visiting her grave. She died in 2023, houses she lived in, just kind of leaving, no stone unturned, I hoped. And then once that's done, I sort of try to I try to take notes without trying too hard to analyze it, just sort of take notes on what seems interesting to me or relevant. And then after that, try to make sense of it into a cohesive narrative. So many famous people. It's wild. Her brother, Andrew, worked as kind of like an assistant director on some projects with the Beatles. And so she knew there were a lot of great photos of her in the late 60s with like George Harrison. There's like a very casual note in her journal that was like, lunch with Jay Leno, very nice, so she knew them, she knew the Rolling Stones, she had a little bit of a rivalry slash almost love triangle with Brigitte Bardot, who was her Serge Gainsbourg's ex, just like a couple months prior to meeting her. So yeah, I mean, she crossed paths with every famous person. She worked with Maggie Smith in some of the Agatha Christie movies that she was in. She was friends with, complicated guys like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski. And you know, she was a woman about town in every way. So, and that's what drew me to her. I love books where someone is kind of deeply associated with a particular era or city, because I find so much joy in kind of writing about it, recreating it, and all the colorful details. And so she was kind of a dream subject in that way because she had diaries and also because she encountered Princess Diana and told her she should move to Paris and, all of these things. It was just a treasure trove.